Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today for a pretty pink Posh video. And I'm excited to create a celebration, a wintry snowflake card. I feel like this could be used not only for December, but December holidays, but also New Year's Day as well. So I'm going to be using the Snowflake stamp set and coordinating dies, the large Celebrate hot foil plate and shadow dies. I also have the Eyelet squares dies and the Cascading Snowflakes stencil. So I'm going to start with creating a stenciled background. I wasn't sure what size square I wanted to use, so I'm going to grab my ruler and just see how wide this largest eyelet square is. For my memory, it was 4 inches, and yes, when I measured it, it was 4 inches. So I'll go ahead and just cut a piece of white cardstock. This is a smooth white cardstock that I like to use for ink blending. So I'm going to trim a panel that will be slightly larger than my die, so that way I can die cut out once I'm done adding ink to this square panel. So I'm going to grab some fun wintry blue colors in Distress Oxides. I went with Salvaged Patina and Uncharted Mariner. I think these blend really well together. And I will say my Salvaged Patina is a little dry. I need to get some re-ink for this pad. It takes me a little bit to get that color onto half of my panel, but I do add ink to cover, again, about half of this white cardstock panel in that Salvaged Patina. Next, I'm going to flip it over and use Uncharted Mariner, and I'll go ahead and add that color going the other way. So starting from the other side of that white square and adding ink and then blending it into the Salvaged Patina. Once I'm happy with how much ink I have of the darker color, I'm going to go back in with the lighter Salvaged Patina and work to blend that kind of line that separates the two colors to create a little bit more of a seamless transition between the darker and the lighter Distress Oxide. I really like that these colors blend well together, and even though it's not a 100% perfect blend between the two, because the two shades really work well together, it creates a nice color between the two. So once that is done, I am going to think that I'm ready to stencil, but before I stencil, I want to do some die cutting. So I'm going to place this onto my grip mat and then instantly remember that no, I want to die cut first. And that's because I want to add some glitter paste through or any type of stencil paste through my stencil, and it's going to be a lot harder to die cut that, so I want to do my die cutting first. So I grab that largest eyelet square and die cut that panel. Now I'm going to place it onto my grip mat and then add my stencil on top. For this card, I'm going to be using Clear Skies Astro Paste from Simon Hurley and Ranger Ink, and I'm just going to use a palette to apply that stencil paste right onto my stencil, and then use a large kind of scraper tool to bring that stencil paste down and fill in all of those snowflakes. I like to go in with the excess of the stencil paste to make sure I have it filled in all of the little areas of my design, and then I go ahead and save that right back into my container. I love a good stencil reveal, so here we'll have these beautiful blue snowflakes on our blue background that we stenciled. It does look a little dull right now, but when it dries, it's going to have a beautiful blue shimmer. So let's take a look at how it looks right now, just so you can see it does look very pretty at this stage, but I'm going to bring it back later when it's dry, and you're going to love it like 10 times more. For my sentiment, I wanted to do some hot foiling, so I'm going to use the hot foil large Celebrate plate, and I'm going to use some Moondust Glimmer hot foil from Spellbinders. I have the Spellbinders little trimming tool to cut out my foil, so I'll go ahead and trim around the word Celebrate so I don't have a ton of extra foil. I'm just getting enough to go around my sentiment. Once I have that, I will go ahead and use my Glimmer hot foil system, which is just sitting off the camera, but I'm going to layer my white cardstock. I'm going to layer my foil shiny side up on the white cardstock and the sentiment facing down. So now that even though my plate is on top, I'm going to flip that over so the plate touches my Glimmer hot foil system. So the word faces up, shiny side down, and then the paper. So that way it will press that shiny into my cardstock. Ask me how many times I've created shiny hot foil plates. I've done it multiple times. So for my snowflakes, I have a piece of white cardstock and I added all of the snowflakes that are just like lines. They don't have anywhere where you could color. I just wanted the ones that had simple line details on them. And I'm stamping them with Bali Blue VersaFine Clair ink. I thought it matched the shimmer foil that I used, or glimmer foil that I used, and just brings in more of that blue teal color that I have so far throughout my card. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut out all of those snowflakes, and I also went ahead and hot foiled my sentiment. Here you can see it turned out so beautiful. I love that shimmer. I'll go ahead and use the coordinating die to cut it out, as well as a second die cut out of some scrap white cardstock. And look at how beautiful that background is looking. I think it's so, so pretty. I love the shimmer. This is like my favorite color. Teal is my favorite color. So anytime I can use that on a card, it brings me a lot of joy. So I'm going to layer my sentiments together. So I'm adding liquid adhesive behind my foiled sentiment because that's what I want on top. And I'm layering on that scrap piece of white cardstock. And that's because the cardstock that I use for foiling isn't the thickest or sturdiest cardstock. So adding a second layer just gives it a bit more stability. So now all of my elements are ready to go to add on the card. I'm going to start with this foam adhesive that is 1/8 of an inch wide, and I'm pulling off not only one side of the release paper by pulling it off the backing, but I'm pulling off the release paper on the other side because it allows me to have some flexibility in curving these foam strips around my sentiment. So it's a scripty font, and I'm just using the foam adhesive to kind of trace that scripty font so it adds some foam stability and adhesive behind my sentiment. So I'll go ahead and finish filling in the rest of my sentiment with foam adhesive, and I'm going to attach this to my card base. I have a top folding A2 card base. You could use side folding as well, and I'm giving it kind of a Polaroid picture look with my image on top and my sentiment on the bottom. So I don't have any foam yet on my stenciled little panel here, but I was just using it as a guide to make sure I liked the placement and centering of my sentiment. I'm adding more foam adhesive to the back of my square little background that I made and adding that right above my sentiment. Once those are in place, I'll go ahead and start figuring out where I want my snowflakes to go. I kind of play around with different layouts, but I end up just liking it following the kind of cascading look, but I'm going to go at more of a diagonal. So I'm going to use a liquid adhesive to attach all these down. I have plenty of foam adhesive and dimension already on this card. I'm going to use my thumbnails to help kind of curve my snowflake a bit just to give it a little bit more dimension in that way. And then I'm attaching it to my background. So now I'm just going to pop through and add the rest of my snowflakes, creating again kind of a cascading look from the top right corner to the bottom left hand corner. And I'm gluing everything down with liquid adhesive. I have one more little straggler snowflake hiding under my embellishment dish, so I get that added on. And that will finish off this card. It's pretty simple, but I think has a lot of, embellishment with the shimmery hot foil sentiment, with the stenciled snowflakes. I really love this color combination and how this card turned out. I hope it inspires you today as well, maybe for a holiday card or New Year's Day card. Let me know what you would use it for down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!